Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sleep Detective podcast. Today, I have my client and friend and now coworker, Andrea, here to talk about her experience working together and how she was doing before we started working together and how things are now, the changes she made, the journey she's been on, because she's done the hard work to get there. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I cannot wait to talk about what we have been through the last couple of months.
Awesome. And, this kind of started, I wanted her to be on the podcast, of course, but the last time, our last session, she told me that she went to your doctor for a checkup, right?
Yep, just a regular checkup.
Yeah. And had zero health complaints for the first time ever. So,
I'm almost like, why am I in this office doing a routine? No.
yeah. So I love that. And so let's talk about first. So, what was going on, when you reached out to me?
Okay. So I have always been a pretty good sleeper until I had children. So I don't know what happened, but with the pregnancies and giving birth to my two children, something changed in my body and I didn't know what it was. But when the journey to finding you was, 2 years of doing tests with my doctor and trying to figure out what was going on with me, and everything was coming back normal, normal, normal. I even have a list here in front of me of all of the different symptoms I was experiencing because I kept files on this because it just was so unusual.
Right.
And so, in addition to the sleep issues, I was experiencing anxiety and fatigue and joint pain. And when it comes to my sleep specifically, I wasn't having trouble falling asleep at night, but I was waking up at 1, 2, 3 in the morning and having a lot of trouble falling back asleep. I would be up for, I don't know, 2 hours most nights, just sitting there trying to fall back asleep and just unable to. So, yeah, all of the testing coming back normal, it was really frustrating. And then I found you, and everything you were talking about and all the things you talk about on your podcast just made sense to me. And I knew there was a deeper issue that I needed to work on with you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you did.
Me too.
Yeah. And it's crazy how our bodies change. I think that, you talk about after having kids. I mean, being pregnant, childbirth, having a newborn, all of that is so stressful on our bodies. So, because that's when my sleep issues started as well, was late pregnancy and then after. And so, yeah, I think the imbalances were already there because you were already maybe having other symptoms too. And then, just the stress of that, unfortunately, of having children can really push us over the edge for women. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, it makes sense, but luckily it is all fixable. So, that's the good news.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
The 2 years that I really, you know, pursued this with my doctor and found no things happening there, it was really frustrating. And I was beginning to believe that, everything I was experiencing is just part of aging, which is not true. So,
Totally. Yeah. I think as we get older, it doesn't mean that we're going to feel tired all the time and have aches and pains and not be able to remember things, like, because we know that that's not true because there are many people who don't experience that. So it's
yeah.
become normal, but it's not how it has to be. And it's definitely not ideal and a sign that the body's healthy. And, you're not even old. So,
Oh, 40 years old, but yeah, but I have a newfound look on life now, and you're right. I'm very lucky that I don't have to continue with the joint pain and the fatigue and the anxiety and the insomnia. So feel like a brand new woman.
yay. So, what's your take on what the test results showed? Because, it's a contrast of blood work and doctors saying everything's normal. But then, the test we did showed that there were some things that were out of whack.
Yeah, it's funny. I think when you and I first talked in the consult, I think I said to you, well, what happens if I invest in your program and then there's nothing in my test results? And you're like, we'll deal with that when it comes. Don't worry, and I'm thinking, okay, no, there's probably something going to be in my test results. And there was. So
Yeah.
what I remember from my test results, the first thing was my hormone level. And, I was on birth control after having both of my children and just knowing I don't want to have another child. Um, and so the birth control really messed with my hormones, and that was evident in the test results. I also remember sort of chemical imbalances in the brain, liver congestion, gut issues. And those are the main ones I remember.
Mhm.
Were there more?
Oh, that's a good summary of everything. Sorry,
Okay, good.
this isn't a quiz. It's just, yeah, I'm curious what your takeaways were. And that's exactly right. Yeah. And I love, I've had that question before too about what if the tests show nothing? That's never happened. I don't even think it's possible for anyone with any sort of symptoms for tests to show that the functional tests to show that everything's in balance because something's got to be out of whack if we're having symptoms. So,
The functional test
yes,
specifically, right? Yeah. Traditional medicine says you're perfectly healthy.
right. Exactly. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So, what kind of changes did you make?
All right. Well, the major changes were with my diet and lifestyle. Um, and those were hard at first, but I think working together the last 6 months, I have finally reached a place where I feel really good about my diet and lifestyle. More specifically, for me, there were some sensitivities to gluten and dairy. And so I have completely cut gluten out of my life. 99%. There's like that 1% where I allow myself to have it. Um, and then the dairy, I have dramatically reduced the dairy, but I've also, when I do have dairy products, it's got to be lactose free because I think the lactose is a real big problem for me as well. Um, and then what else did I do? I think those were the major things. The supplements that, we were on the last couple of months were really helpful as well. Um, I particularly like the 5-HTP. That was a really helpful one.
Nice.
I want to like shout from the rooftops all about that one. That was a wonderful one for me. So, yeah, those were the major changes that I made.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the lab test showed you definitely needed some serotonin support, and then yeah, I think food sensitivities and gut health were a big part of it for you, and that's not the case for everyone, for sure. But I think for you that made a really big difference. So
It did. It did. The joint pain, I really want to say that as soon as I started to go gluten free, the joint pain went away.
amazing.
Almost within the first week or two that I went gluten free, the joint pain was like gone.
Yeah.
I was shocked after 2 years of just terrible pain. It's hard to even stand up from the couch type pain. Like to have it just be gone is so amazing. I can't even put it into words.
Good, good. I'm so glad to hear. That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, how are you sleeping now?
I sleep really well. I go to bed around 9, 10 at the very latest. And most nights I am sleeping through the night, other than to get up to go to the bathroom. That's still a thing for me. And I think it might be forever, and that's okay. But
Yeah.
I'm able to fall back asleep so much quicker now after I get up to go to the bathroom. The only problem that I'm having, which is very hard to solve, is when my kids get me up in
Mhm.
the middle of the night. And, my 6 year old, he sleeps well, but my 2 year old still gets me up in the middle of the night sometimes. And so that's not related to this. But other than that, which is something we're working on, I'm sleeping very well through the night. I'm able to get back to sleep within 5 to 20 minutes when I wake up to go to the bathroom instead of 2 hours. And so that's awesome.
Yeah. That's great. And, I think most of my clients, they aren't expecting perfect sleep, right? They just want a lot better than it is now. And so I was the same way. And, I thought getting up to go to the bathroom was a problem for a while. I'm like, if I could just not have to get up to go to the bathroom, then I would sleep. But now I'm the same way. I get up, go to the bathroom, fall right back asleep. So the problem isn't getting up to go to the bathroom. It's like, what else is happening in your body at that time that's keeping you from being able to fall back asleep really quickly. So, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I remember when we had that conversation in our sessions, and I'm like, I'm still waking up to go to the bathroom. And you shared with me that you do as well. And I'm like, okay, that's not a problem then. Great.
yeah, I mean, I think perfect would not be having that happen. But for me, after struggling for a couple of years with sleep and being up for hours like you were, like I'm totally happy with how things are now. I think it's great. And I wake up feeling rested, which I think is what's most important. So yeah, we can't
Yeah,
expect perfect night every night.
I agree. And waking up feeling rested, that is a different. This morning, I just said to my husband that I'm going to start to gradually cut down my coffee in the morning because I don't even feel like I need it
Awesome.
for caffeine anymore. So, I'm down to like half a cup of coffee in the morning, and who knows? I might keep it just because I enjoy it, or I might get rid of it. I don't know yet, but it's
Yeah,
nice not to be reliant on it to
totally.
get, kickstart your day.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I like to drink decaf. I kind of go back and forth, and right now I'm into a phase where I am drinking it because I enjoy it too. Okay, so what else has changed for you besides sleep and joint pain?
I think my level of focus during the day when I'm working is way better than it used to be. I'm able to get way more done because I'm able to focus so much better. And when my family comes home at the end of the day, my laptop is shut off for the day, put away, and I don't have to go back and do more work because I completed my work that day. So,
That's
um, that's a huge thing. The other thing is just going outside and playing with my kids and being able to have the energy and the non joint pain to be able to do that. So that's been huge for me.
yeah, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
mean, it's crazy how much sleeping and these things affect like every part of our lives. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. And I don't want to get too graphic on this podcast, but, intimacy with my husband is wonderful too.
awesome.
Yeah,
Right? Affects everything.
it
Work,
does.
relationships, parenting, all the things.
Everything.
Yeah, totally. Great. Awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to add?
Um, I guess I'll just say that, you know, if anyone out there is dealing with a similar thing to me, like don't wait, get help as quick as possible. I wasted 2 years of my life trying to figure this out, and my kids are so young. I feel like I wasted two years that I could have been spending more time with them and just not having this be a problem. So get help, whatever that looks like for you, as soon as you can.
Yeah, awesome. And that is just part of your journey and my journey too. It took me a couple years to figure it out too, and that's part of it. And um, yeah, but you were determined to figure it out. You were totally committed. You made all the changes, and now you're doing so much better, which is awesome.
Yeah, thank you
So,
for everything, Martha.
yes, well, thank you. And you deserve most of the credit because you did the work. It's easy for me to say, okay, let's talk about gluten. Maybe we shouldn't be eating gluten and dairy. And yeah, you actually have to do it. So,
Yeah, and I'm Italian, and I like pasta, I like Italian bread, I like all of the carbs. And the carbs aren't bad, but the carbs with the gluten in them, I never thought I would be able to switch. And it's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. It really is. There are so many good gluten-free products out there these days. They don't taste exactly the same, I'm not going to lie, but they are really good alternatives. And, I don't miss carbs at like, you know, the non-gluten-free carbs at all.
right. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like anything, it's a change. It's hard at first, and then we get used to it and it's easy. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So good for you. All right. Well, thanks so much for being on. It was really great to hear your story, very inspiring, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.